Hey, third grade. Today you guys are going to get back your drawings that you guys started, your designs with your names inside it. Okay. If you did not finish with those little itty bitty patterns that we added last time, got to get that done first. Okay. Remember that you can use either a black crayon, a black Sharpie marker, or a black colored pencil, but you may not use a black washable marker. Okay, because that will end up bleeding all over your paper when we go to paint later on. So if you have all those things done, you are ready to use your watercolor paints. Hopefully you have a tray of them. If you don't, you could always use markers too and fill everything in with markers. That'd be totally fine. Okay, I'm going to use watercolors. So hopefully your watercolors have a paintbrush in them. And obviously when we use watercolors, we need to make sure it's wet. Now, I'm not going to use every single color in my watercolor tray. A lot of times we like to think that if we use every single color, it's going to look really cool. But a lot of the best artists actually limit themselves. So they have to really have restraint or control over themselves and make sure that they don't use every single color. We don't want it to look like rainbow puke, okay? We want it to look like what we're doing is intentional. So if I were you, I would pick out 3 or 4 colors that you want to use and only stick to those colors. Okay, so I'm actually going to use red, I'm going to use blue, I'm going to use yellow, so my 3 primary colors, and I think I'm going to use green as well. Okay, so red, yellow, blue, and green. Okay, you don't have to use the same colors as me, but I would really limit yourself if I were you. I would also probably stay away from using black, okay, because we already used a bunch of black on our artwork. All right, so when I paint, I'm going to make sure to get my watercolors nice and wet. Okay, I'm not scrubbing it, I'm not spinning my brush, I'm just giving it a nice gentle rub, and I can begin to paint then. When we paint, Mr. Calvert likes to say that we think of our paintbrush as a ballerina. Okay, and a ballerina paints or dances on her toes. Okay, the toes are the bristles of your brush, the hairy part. So that should be the only part that touches my painting. I get a lot of people that press their brush all the way down and then they scrub. Okay, and it doesn't come out looking very good. So we want to make sure we're just using the toes of our brush. And oftentimes too, when Mr. Calvert paints, I will pick one color and I'll do that color a whole bunch. So that way I don't have to keep washing out my brush. Okay, I can just keep working with this red in different spots. Maybe I'll do it right here as well. I'm going to do my best not to paint on the black. Using the toes of my brush. Remember, she's a ballerina. And part of the reason we use the toes of our brush is, first off, it paints better. The second reason we do it is it actually makes our brushes last longer too. We don't want to ruin our brushes. All right, maybe I'll do some, obviously I would do a whole bunch more red, but I'm going to switch to my next color. Maybe I'll do some yellow. So maybe I'll do these little guys right here. Yellow is Mr. Calvert's favorite color. Now when I paint and I start like switching colors, I try not to paint things that are right next to each other. Like if I finish this little row of circle things, I wouldn't go and paint the area next to it then, because I got little puddles of paint right now sitting on my paper. And if I get 2 little puddles that are too close to each other, they're going to suck together and blend together, and that will not look good. So now that I finished this little section, I'm just going to kind of leave that for a while until it can soak into my paper. Maybe I'll do these triangles right here. But by the end of this, we are going to have our entire painting done. I don't necessarily expect you to finish today. We will probably finish these in next class. Don't rush. Okay, we didn't spend all this time making these super awesome designs just to rush through and finish it in one day. I'll do some of that green that I talked about. Carefully painting that in. Do a couple more spots of green. All right, so here's one little trick too. So if you do those little itty bitty polka dot lines, okay, like I did. Now trying to put a little dot of paint into each one of those and then painting around it would be really, really hard. So what I did is I actually painted that whole row green. Now I'm going to kind of come in with a color that goes well with green. I'm going to put it right on top of it, okay? That means you need to kind of think about what goes well with green, okay? I can't put red there. If I put red there, it's going to mix together and it's going to make a yucky color. But I could put yellow, because I know that yellow is used to make the color green. I could put blue there. I know that the color blue is used to make green. So either one of those would be fine. But using red, since that's my other color, would not be a good idea. You can see there, I must have had a little dot of water on my paper that wasn't quite dry yet. I'm doing what I told you guys not to do earlier, my bad. Okay, but you're going to work on really filling this up. All right, once you get this far, you are all finished. Remember, you might not quite get this far today. My hope is that you can at least get half of it painted, okay? And then we'll probably spend one more class after today working on these. But the goal is to really get a good head start on your painting today. Remember, when you paint, pick 4 or 3 colors, okay? So 3 or 4. Don't want to do too many colors, and then really stick to that color scheme. Okay, teachers, when you're done with your students' artwork, they might get a little wrinkly because it's watercolor paint. What I would recommend doing is putting them all under a stack of books, and that'll kind of help flatten everything out. Okay, all right, talk to you guys later. Bye.